In 1191, the sands of northern India witnessed a clash that would echo through history. The Rajput king Prithviraj Chauhan had defeated the ambitious Ghurid ruler Muhammad of Ghor at the First Battle of Tarain. It was a humiliating setback for the Sultan, wounded, forced to retreat, and nearly captured. Prithviraj Chauhan was now celebrated across northern India as the defender who had repelled a powerful invader. The victory at Tarain had elevated his prestige among the Rajput rulers. Bards praised him, allies respected him, enemies feared him. But triumph can be dangerous. Many historical accounts and later chronicles suggest that after his victory, Prithviraj grew confident, perhaps too confident. The Ghurid threat seemed broken. Muhammad of Ghor had retreated beyond the frontiers, wounded and defeated. Prithviraj resumed royal life. He strengthened alliances, enjoyed the luxuries of kingship, and devoted time to his newly married queen. The urgency of war faded into celebration. The watchfulness that had once guarded the frontiers began to soften. Meanwhile, far beyond the mountains, the man he had defeated was not celebrating. He was rebuilding. While the Rajput king ruled in confidence, the Sultan prepared in silence, and history was quietly moving toward its second confrontation. Back in his stronghold, Muhammad of Ghor is said to have reflected deeply on his loss. He had underestimated the Rajput cavalry, their war elephants, and the fierce unity under Prithviraj's command. Determined not to repeat his mistake, he began reorganizing his army, refining tactics, strengthening his mounted archers, and preparing for a return that would not end in retreat. And in 1192, he would march back to the plains of Tarain. This would not be a reckless invasion, because the next encounter at Tarain would not simply decide a battle between two kings, it would decide the future of a subcontinent. In 1192, Muhammad of Ghor marched towards India again, but this time he did not come unprepared. From Ghor and across his territories, he assembled a powerful cavalry force built around mounted archers and fast-moving units. It was disciplined, coordinated, and designed for tactical flexibility. Yet when he reached the plains of Tarain, he faced a far larger army than his own. Prithviraj Chauhan commanded a numerically superior force. Rajput chiefs had rallied under his banner once more. His ranks were filled with heavy cavalry, infantry, and formidable war elephants, the very combination that had crushed the Ghurids the year before. In sheer numbers, the Rajputs held the advantage, but Muhammad knew that numbers alone do not decide battles, because while Prithviraj commanded the larger force, Muhammad of Ghor commanded the more adaptable one, and on the plains of Tarain, adaptability would prove deadly. Before the battle, Chauhan sent a letter insulting the Sultan and reminding him of his previous defeats while glorifying the size of his army and his large war elephants. Muhammad replied in a smart way, offering to retreat, but at the same time buying him some time. Before the sun had fully risen, the plains of Tarain seemed quiet, almost peaceful. Then, without warning, a small group of Muhammad of Ghor's horse archers appeared. They were only a few hundred, barely a fraction of the army, but they moved like shadows, riding in circles around the Rajput camp, shooting arrows and vanishing before anyone could catch them. The Rajputs hadn't expected this. Their elephants, usually so terrifying, stamped nervously. Horses reared, soldiers ran in confusion. Shouts echoed through the camp, but no one knew exactly where the attack was coming from. What should have been a small skirmish had thrown the entire Rajput camp into panic. Just a handful of horse archers had shaken the nerves of a much larger army. By the time the sun climbed higher, the Rajputs were still trying to regroup. Their numbers were strong, but their confidence had been shaken, and this was only the beginning. Despite the early panic, the Rajputs quickly regained their composure. They formed their lines, placing the massive war elephants at the front, supported by cavalry and infantry behind. The ground seemed ready to shake under the weight of these living tanks, and for a moment, it looked like the Rajputs might crush the Ghurid advance. But Muhammad of Ghor had another trick. He sent forward 5 groups of his fast Turkic horse archers, riding straight toward the elephants as if to meet them head-on. At the last possible moment, however, each group swerved sharply to the right, looping around the flanks. From behind them, Ghurid soldiers fired volleys of arrows, raining down on the exposed Rajput cavalry and infantry. This looping maneuver repeated again and again. The elephants, powerful as they were, could not turn quickly enough to follow. The Rajput cavalry tried to chase the riders, but the Turkic horse archers were too fast, too skilled, and too coordinated. The massive Indian force, built for shock and impact, could not match the speed and mobility of the smaller Ghurid units. As the Rajput army struggled to regroup, Muhammad of Ghor unleashed his elite force of 12,000 horsemen. Fast, disciplined, and deadly, they swept across the broken lines like a storm. The Rajputs tried to resist, but their elephants were panicked, and their formations were in chaos. Arrows rained down, horses thundered, and the ground seemed to shake under the charge. Prithviraj, seeing the battle lost, tried to flee on his elephant. But in the confusion and panic, the mighty beast stumbled and threw him to the ground. Before he could rise, Ghurid soldiers captured him. His fate was sealed, he was executed, and with him, the last hope of the Rajput army crumbled. While the Ghurids lost around 1,000 men, almost the entire Rajput army was either captured or killed. Muhammad of Ghor's victory was complete. The Rajput resistance was broken, and the Ghurids now had a clear path to dominate northern India, changing the region's history forever. The Second Battle of Tarain marked a decisive turning point in Indian history, bringing an end to centuries of Rajput dominance. With their defeat, the path was cleared for the establishment of Muslim Turkish rule, which would last for over 320 years. In the aftermath, Qutb-ud-Din Aybak, a trusted general of Muhammad Ghori, was poised to ascend the throne, laying the foundation for the Delhi Sultanate and a new era in India's political and cultural landscape.